Director of Programs, Her Majesty Queen Mabheka of Yogeni, and Her Royal Highness, the King's daughter who is with us, our man of the hour, Ishwar Ramlutchman, Mabheka Zulu, President of the Shinawa Shivananda World Peace and Community Development Foundation, and his lovely wife, Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman, our National Deputy Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Zomo Dinam, the KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, the Honorable Ms. Bongis Chole, the Honorable Consul of the Republic of India in Durban, the Prime Minister Rapu, the Honorable Mr. Belenko Sabisa, who is our who is a member of the provincial and the leader of the opposition in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, and also our leader of the IFP. His Worship, the Mayor of Pretoria, Mr. Julie, Mrs. Machabo Munene, the Executive Manager of Trustee of the Mazisi Munene Museum, the Honorable Ella Kani of the Felix Settlement Trust and the Kani Development Trust, and my son who accompanied here, Prince Tuchuba, our distinguished guests and friends. I think the audience will forgive me when you look around and find that all the people I listed here are not here. But this list I was given enough order. And I'd like, for instance, to pay tribute to my dear brother, Mr. Vivian Reddy and Mrs. Reddy, who are also here. I must say to my grandson, as Her Majesty hinted, that I met Mabheka Zulu long before the King met him, and I always refer to him as my son at the ashram in Devon, under Sri Swamiji Sahajananda. I've known the presence also of Swamiji, who is here today, because the very first school that we built together, which is not far from my house, he was reminding me that he was a little boy. But today is my religious leader, and I pay tribute to him in his presence, because he's one of the few people who know the long history between me and Mabheka, and also Swamiji. I must say, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the longest launch of any book I've attended. In August last year, I attended 84 years, so I'm struggling with my 95th birthday. But honestly, I've never enjoyed any book launch as you've enjoyed today's. I would also like to pay tribute to the author, who has between us for a very long history. You know, when I was teaching at the University of Zulu, I remember that at one time when he was teaching there, that his office was burned down because he was a political supporter. And some students burned down his office. And I would like to pay tribute also to Ngosini Asmatunian, who is with us today, who actually had a very close relationship with our king. We worked very closely with our king, I must say that we've also enjoyed the music and the items also very much. And thanks very much for the eats on the table. And also, if you want to the relationship between us in Parliament, nothing gives me as much pleasure as sitting next to our national Deputy Minister, Dr. Zuma, because I remember that one day I had terrible pain, and you know that between the ruling party and the rest, there's an aisle, and I crossed and I chose to say, Dinanga, I have terrible pain, and he prescribed a painkiller I'd never had, just tremor. The first time I heard about it. But it killed my pain. If you know about our relationship in Parliament. And also the thing, the lie, that's just propagated as if I feel an enemy of the ANC. In fact, I'm very proud of the fact that my first mentor was Dr. Pixley, the founder of the ANC. Because I was married to my grandfather's eldest daughter, Princess Harriet. And then I was doing my trip here, south of Durban in Mazindodi. I don't know what happened when he was practicing in Johannesburg. Something went wrong. And since I grew up at the palace, he actually built himself a homestead there. And because I was doing Form 4, as matric first year was called, then he would send for me to dictate letters and so on and so forth for him, matric. And then of course I was also fortunate to have a single manager in English Almatutu. Because when my first uncle, Your Majesty, died, King Solomon, in 1983, then my younger uncle, Prince Mshiri, became regent. And then he took over. He became actually the head of the Zulu family. And he used to call him Bezos, and there was this, as we are called chiefs, this chief from Crowdville, Okamakoro, who was quite different, he was educated. And I knew him as long as that, And even now he used to say even now, he used to say about my father, who was literate, my father Machor. He said that my father was surprising because literate as he was, he said he was a Democrat. And I said, why did he think so? He would say that whenever my uncle in the region called a meeting of all the chiefs, because he was the brother-in-law of the regent and the king, they would go to him privately and say, what does the regent say about this and that? And then my father always responded. He always said that, but what he thinks is not important. What is important is what the people think, not him. And I don't know how many times he goes into repeat that to me. So I became very close with my leader, and it was very interesting to know how I was elected here in Durban. Because Mr. Champion, AWG Champion, Alison versus George Champion, was leader of the ANC in the province. And then his time expired, and a new leader was elected. At that time, I worked in Stella Street here in Devon at the offices of the Native Affairs as a clerk. So we all went up there. All of you may remember as R.A. Bingo, and people like Mr. Nkwemu and so on, and also Mr. Jinkuru became our speaker. So on this day, the meeting was here at Peter Street, at the YMCA, election meeting. So Mr. A.W. Champion, as we call him, Mashati, instead of people producing their credentials, he said, "Abafuna ngapha, abafuna champion ngapha," which was actually not according to the Constitution. And I think probably he had dragged the meeting. Sadly for him, the people wanted MANGOSUTHU more, and you asked who, although we're members of the ANC, you were not carrying members since we were civil servants. We got to this side. Mr. Chamber used to have a column in Ilanga, in Obolo Mashad, every week. And in one column he said that Chief Luthuli was elected by civil servant. It was a reference to us. It was very interesting in this time. Then when Chief Luthuli went to Bloemfontein, he was elected the President General of our movement, the African National Congress.
Sure.
So I can't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how much pleasure it gives me to stand here before you on this occasion and for the launch of the biography of Mr. Ramlutchman. And I'm so delighted that a very respected academic in the person of Mr. Jabulani Mapalala is the author of, and you could see that he did not read his speech like myself. He was speaking in ex-Tambo. And that's the well-grounded academic he is. This young man we're here about, Mabheka Zulu, has been a friend not only for me, as the author said, but of the Zulu nation, and to the people of KwaZulu-Natal for decades, as the Queen said, and also other leaders. He's one of the most remarkable philanthropists I've had the pleasure of knowing. In fact, I'm not surprised that one of his guests is our greatest philanthropist, in whose footsteps I would say is walking, in the person of Mr. Vivian Reddy. He's a builder of bridges, as we had, across all cultures, and a unifying force, wherever there is diversity, as was said by many speakers. One should never be surprised to see Mr. Ramlutchman in traditional Zulu attire, just as I myself am often in the attire of the East. Often both my brother, Miss Vivian Reddy, and him, I always tease them at functions when I'm wearing Indian attire and say I'm more Indian than you. And my friend, Dr. Ishwar Ramlutchman, who was a fellow minister with me in the National Cabinet, used to refer to me as an Indo-Zulu. And I'm very proud that my grandson, Mabheka, is certainly a Zulu Indian, because as I explained, he was my son. But because the king is my nephew, you couldn't be his son, both of us. So I said, today, my grandson now. So I always call him Zulu, in Zulu, because he cannot be the son of the king and be my son as well, because the king was my nephew. I've watched Mr. Ramlutchman grow from a young man under the membership of Sri Swami Sahajananda to become an example to us all of what servant leadership is about. If one sought to understand the concept of an entrepreneurial spirit, Mr. Ramlutchman could provide the benchmark. He has excelled in business at his age, in community development, and in nation building, as all leaders have said. But of all the accolades, one could heap on his head. To me, the greatest measure of the man is the unwavering loyalty which he gave to our late King, His Majesty, It was a tremendous source of comfort to me to know that my late nephew, the King, had the support and the friendship of this very special man in Mabheka. Their closeness, as the Queen has articulated, was always a blessing, whichever way you looked. Indeed, when we grieved the loss of His Majesty, our late King, in 2021, my thoughts turned to Mr. Ramlutchman, just as his thoughts turned to me. It was naturally done. I was grateful for the comfort and support that they provided in the very painful time to me and to my family. It was just one more expression of the wonderful friendship He has always shown towards me. Because perhaps many people don't know that the King and I were related twice. Because you know that my mother was a full sister to his grandfather, King Solomon. But his mother, Queen Tom, was a daughter of Mabheka, a grandson of Myanmar. So we're related twice with him, from both my maternal side and paternal side. When Mabheka told me in 2019 that his biography was being written and invited me to contribute the foreword to it, I was truly honored. It deserves every word of praise that I could give. I would like, therefore, as we launch this important biography, to read to you. It's a very short foreword, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to bore you. For it expresses the fullness, I think, of my admiration and respect for Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman. In the words of Sri Swami Shivananda, the founder of the Divine Life Society, he used to say, and I quote him, "The highest use of life is to live in the service of all beings," unquote. The life journey, that is, I'm reading the foreword now. The life journey of Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman Mabheka Zulu spans little more than 4 decades. Yet the details of his life will still fill several volumes, for Ishwar has done the work of a lifetime in philanthropic service. For now, we will have to be content with 1 volume, but I have no doubt that the book you hold in your hand, that you'll be holding in your hands, all of you, will become volume 1 in a great series, for this story is still being written. I've never seen such generosity. I've attended many book launches, but I've never seen anyone launching a book actually then giving copies to everyone. It is typical of the man. Then I go on to read in the foreword I wrote that throughout my life I pursued social cohesion and reconciliation. I've been humbled to be called, an Indo-Zulu because of my close friendship with the Indian community in South Africa. You saw now when I was young, very young, when my uncle died in 1933, when King Solomon died. Among his drivers, he had a white driver to drive one of his cars. And his vegetable garden was tilled by an Indian. So I was playing my social cohesion. To me, it is essential to build bridges across cultures, bringing diverse people together. I'm therefore quick to recognize a kindred spirit. When I met a very young Ishwar Ramlutchman at the ashram, at Sri Swami Sahajananda in Japan, some 20 years ago, I saw him as a natural bridge builder. He was already serving on the board of the Divine Life Society at that young age. And his commitment to Swami Sahajananda Saraswati was remarkable. Swamiji and I shared a vision of educating South Africa's children and assisting the most vulnerable. You know what happened is this, my brother, Mr. Reddy. When the children stopped reading my foreword, when the students at the Soviet revolted and roused, and they were shot with live ammunition and they used stones, when that thing took up, then Mr. Oliver Tambo, who was actually sent abroad by our leader, because Albert Luchman, to actually set up the ANC mission in exile, that's what it was called. He then said that, came out with the slogan, liberation now, education later. He said, our schools, because they were inferior, they must be destroyed, so that it can be the same as those of the whites, and so on. That was the policy, and I was a member of the ANC, and that was the policy of my party. But I couldn't agree with that. I countered this by saying, liberation for education, education for liberation. That was my slogan. So when the Swamiji saw me struggling, I would ask Amakosi to pop out R1, their people. Because the budget that Pretoria sent to me, because they knew my background as an ANC activist, per capita, it was less than all the budgets of all the poblations. So I went to Swamiji, and Swamiji, for every rand that we popped out, the Indian people paid it, you know, in the Divine Life Society. And I go on to read that through our friendship and the ensuring partnership between the Muslim government and Divine Life Society, we built thousands of classrooms, clinics, care centers, crèches, skills training centers, homes for children, homes for the elderly. The Divine Society was a much needed powerhouse in humanitarian action. Ishwar and I became very close because of the work of Swami Sahajananda, but our friendship continued based on the work of Ishwar himself now, he himself. He excelled at selfless service, having lived out the injunction of Swami Shivananda, the founder, to put life to its highest use. What struck me, ladies and gentlemen, most was that Ishwar was not working just for the Indian community. He has done more for struggling black communities than many black philanthropists themselves. And that is why my brother, Mr. Reddy, I got very upset when they started, singing those racist songs, but knowing what the contribution of the Indian people has been. His Indian roots are clearly important to him, as we can see even in this room. He serves an executive vice president, has been served in the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, as honorary patron of the Divine Society of Rishikesh, and through the Shivananda World Peace Foundation, of which I'm patron, by the way, which he leads as president. He arranges Diwali celebrations and supports the International Day of Yoga, which I've attended in my 90s. But as much as he encourages us to attend the functions of the Indian community, he identifies completely with Zulu people, as well joining us whenever we perform traditional rites and ceremonies. He has immersed himself in Zulu culture, learning our traditions and honoring our values. And our academic, Professor Mapala explained that he grew up amongst our people. So he still remains fully Indian. It is not difficult to see why His Majesty, the King of the Zulu nation, has embraced Ishwar as his son, giving him the name of Mabheka, and asking him to serve on the Ngonyama Trust Board. It is not merely that Ishwar walks so easily into. Ishwar walks so easily. It is not merely that Ishwar walks so easily into cultures, but he does with great dignity and wisdom. It is out of love for the people of South Africa that he serves. The knowledge that he is serving the country is his only reward. He gets nothing else except that. Accordingly, he is known throughout South Africa, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, for his philanthropic devotion to peace. He is that rarest human being of human beings who walks the talk. Rarer still, he knows both how to make money and how to give it away, just like Mr. Reddy. From a young age, Ishwar won awards for his entrepreneurial spirit and business acumen. His capacity for creating success in business has enabled him to sow generously into projects that strengthen communities, that empower the next generation, and meet the immediate needs of vulnerable families. He has built houses, as the Queen was saying, and education centers. He has sown into conservation. We are both conservationists, education and community development. He has in fact come to embody the spirit of Ubuntu Bucha. I admire that he is an active citizen and a humanitarian. I also admire that he is a man of his word. Before the passing of Swami Sahajananda in 2007, Ishwar made a commitment to Swamiji to raise 8 Shivananda peace pillars across South Africa. These peace pillars found throughout the world are a tangible reminder of the need to build bridges between diverse people. They are inscribed in the teachings of multitude of religions, chosen to reflect the universality of the ideal of peace. I had the honor of unveiling the very first one of Ishwar's peace pillars in 2009, together with His Majesty, the King of the nation, and the head of the Nazareth Baptist Church. Within 3 years, all 8 peace pillars had been unveiled. But Ishwar did not stop there. He went beyond the original commitment, erecting further peace pillars in many communities. In Mitchell Park in Durban, one such pillar is flanked by busts of former President Nelson Mandela, our icon, and His Majesty, the King of the Zulu nation, exemplifying the message of unity, diversity, peace, and nation building. It has been a pleasure watching the growth of Ishwar Ramlutchman from a youth under the mentorship of Swami Sahajananda to a man who leads us by example. I consider him and his family a part of my own family. I'm therefore delighted to see his life story being known. I think both of you have seen that the closeness between him and the king was never real. Because when the Queen spoke here, I'm sure all of you said, our king chose very well. I see also, anyone who knows Ishwar's wife, would also say he chose very well. And I know that if he didn't need these very powerful women, both of them, they wouldn't have been as close as they were. Mr. Ishwar Ramlutchman has taken charge of his destiny and is doing what he believes must be done. He has not waited for luck. in business or a calling to philanthropy. Instead, he has worked hard to become the man of his faith called to be. I'm very proud in my life that I've known him. Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, we have worked in the forward of the book before us. What follows is an account of a remarkable life. It is my hope that the book will be read far and wide and will become a manual of sorts for those who seek to serve. I offer my heartfelt congratulations to Mr. Ramlutchman, Mabheka, Zulu, for more than anyone perhaps knows how time-consuming and complex a matter it is to commit to paper the extensive details of one's life. I thank him for giving us this gift of insight into his life and character. And I wish him and Isha strength for the next volume, and he continues his journey, because we won't do it without Ishwar's support. Thank you.
Okay.